smaller group this time, so not as formal, and he's just going to be recording just so we can put it up online. Some of y'all, all y'all here should know Teresa, our service manager. T Shizzle is what she goes by. T. Last name Scheissel. And then Ryan, he's our shop foreman. He's one of our lead Pan America technicians and knows these things inside and out. And as you guys can see, we do a lot of work on the Pan Americas here at the shop. So this one is, like I was telling y'all before, we're going to be going through what we do with the shop here to take care of the bikes, to clean them. Because like I said, a lot of people call them dirt glides and they want to keep them dirty, and I respect that. But still, we need to go through the process for us at the dealership level to be able to inspect things properly, check fasteners. You know, think about it when you're checking your oil and that thing's caked in dirt on the right or left side there. You go to open that up and dirt falls down in your oil. I mean, we don't want that. You know, so we at the dealership level handle it a little bit differently. And we have a package that we're going to announce today that we've put together to try to help make some things more attractive to some that like say, hey, just I'm gonna bring it to you guys, and we'll break that all down here at the end of this. So Teresa, if you want to go through what your portion of what you want to break out about the cleaning and what we do, and she's going to go through what Miss Renee, you guys can see my bike. My bike looked worse than this before she got her hands on it. Actually way worse than that, and because I went through some gnarly mud, and she got her hands on it and makes it look brand new every time. So it keeps my investment, you know, looking clean, and I take care of my stuff because I don't know if I'm going to get another one. So that's how I was raised. Yeah, you take care of what you got. I mean, even my dirt bike I keep clean at the house. You know, I go out and ride it in the mud and come back home. I don't put it up dirty. I clean it before I do. So Teresa, if you want to go through your section.
Yep, so this is a Pan America fresh off the trail. This is what most of them come into our shop looking like. This is the after treatment. This took quite a bit of time for Miss Renee. When a bike like this comes into the shop for anything, whether it's a service or accessories or repair, whatever it is, the first thing that we're going to do is wash it, because it's hard to work on these bikes removing bolts and adding parts when everything's crusty and dusty, and it just doesn't quite operate the way that it should. The other thing is, after you come off the trail, lots of things can happen. Maybe you put your bike down, maybe things have vibrated loose, and when it's dirty like this, you can't see what you might need to be able to see. Sean's lost bolts on his bike before, and we didn't notice it until it was too late and he was losing them on a trail. So the first thing that we're going to do when we bring it into the shop is wash it before we do anything else. And that's, you know, we're talking about after care for your bikes when you get off of the trail. That's what we're going to recommend, is the first thing that you do before you do any of these other maintenance items that Ryan's going to go through is get your bike clean so that you can really inspect everything that's going on. And it enhances the life of your bike as well. All these plastics will fade and get pretty nasty if you take care of them. And Renee's going to go through some products that she uses that, you know, as you can see, you know, Sean, how many miles do you have on your bike?
About 14,000.
So we got 14,000 miles on this bike, and as you can see, it's still in very great condition with all of the plastics and paints and everything, because Renee takes care of it, and Sean takes care of it too. When he comes off the trail, first thing he does is get his bike in order. So I'm going to flip around over here, and we're just going to go through some of the products that we use in our shop. This is Renee. She's worked here for 20 years. She does all of the detailing. She maintains this bike's aesthetics here. So really fully trust her and what she does. So do you want to go through some of these products with us, Renee?
Yes, to start out, I would suggest, just like Teresa was saying, when you get off of the ride, to clean it as good as you can if you have to. If you can't right then, as soon as possible, because I've noticed, like with Sean's bike, like different clays stain worse than others. So the quicker you can get it off, the better it is to maintain it and take care of it and keep it looking new again. So what I would suggest is, just like how Sean has this one here, up on the center stand, make sure it's cool and in a shade or somewhere like that. And then just like mist it a little bit to get it wet. And this product here is one of the best products I've found here recently, just to clean the Pan Americas with. They do great. I've had great results out of the other regular street bikes, but I have found that this here, like when you put your wax and everything on, it's not stripping all of that off. it still leaves your protectant on there, but it's getting and eating all the mud off as much as possible. So let me rewind back a little bit. Like I said, make sure it's cool. Rinse it a little bit. This is saying just like to automatically just spray. It comes out in a foam, like kind of like how you go to a car wash. So when you just spray it, and I would do a section at a time, not really spray it all over it. Just spray your wheel and everything really good. And then you can have your mat or like this spoke brush to get in there. It's just how much time you want to spend on it. But I would suggest if you don't want to spend a lot of time on it, at least do something to keep that off of there. But we have the spoke brush and then the other smaller details to get all up in here as much as you would like. But yes, just foam that up as good as you can, and then get your pad or your spoke brush and get in there as much as you can. Wipe that off. Rinse that as good as you're comfortable with, that you feel like you've got it all off there. Then just work your way around and go all the way around. Rinse it thoroughly. Make sure that you get all of your product off that you're using that's clean. To rinse it thoroughly to get that off. And I like to put, like, I'll mist it and rinse real good, and then I'll go back like where there's chunks of mud that might not come off and put that jet sprayer on and let that get down in the grates here to knock as much as that off and all up under, and your wheels and the back wheels and all up under the fenders, to spray it directly under there, trying to let that eat that out and get that out of there. And then the next product that I truly love that helps me to keep Sean's bike looking this way, and I use it on all of the bikes in here, is called the pig spit. So after you get as much dirt off of it that you can, that's not stained or anything like I've talked about, then you would come back and you can just spray this. You can just go around and just lightly just start spraying, and you can spray it anywhere. It can go all over it. The only thing is, after you spray everything, then you would just go back just like you would. But you need to dry the bike off really well with your dryer, whatever you use. Some people use the leaf blower or wipe it down, or your air hose to get all the water off of it, make sure it's good and dry, then put this product on. Then when you get it all over everything that you like, that you see that it's covered everything very well, then you would just go behind and use the microfiber just to go all over it. And this doesn't hurt anything, it just puts another protector on it, just like the wax would. And you just wipe everything in there and go around, get it all off of the wheels, all up underneath, just wipe it in really good. And then what I suggest after you use that is the alcohol, because the pig can be a little, it's never really had a problem, but I always like to come back with the alcohol pad and then just go and clean the brake disc and everything very well, the levers, your grips, anything that you could slip with, and all on the back disc, all of that. Just spin it around anywhere. Just get it all really good and make sure it don't feel sticky to your hands.
And that's the product that keeps all of the plastics looking really
Yes,
nice. It's almost
and
like
it.
a conditioner with a protectant in it.
Yes, and then when you go back to wash it again after you've had the pig on it, it helps to hold all of that out so much to not let it stick to it. Just like with your street bike too, it helps it to not stick. So when you're spraying this on there again, it helps for that to fall off better and come back off and keep it looking as new as possible. And then we have just like a quick wipe down after you're done. If you want to do it, you can take the Harley gloss. It's a real quick detail cleaner just to wipe on your paint and use all that on there. I just spray it directly on the cloth, wipe it in, and make the shine of what you like, and then just go around like that. You can put it on your plastic parts and anything. It's a really good protector. And like if you're out on the ride and say you've got bugs and stuff or dirt up here, I recommend this for the guys that travel on their street bikes, like for their dirt and all that you can just mist this, like if you stop for a little break, to get it out of your way, to clean your windshield and all that stuff. And it's just, you can have the small package or you can buy the bigger one. I figure y'all would like to have something a little smaller that you could tote in your bags and have to use to get all that cleaned off very well. And I was trying to think, is there any questions anybody might have of something that, of anything that maybe you thought maybe I didn't go over, or that you would? Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's really good. It's, when I've used it, I've noticed as long as you've got that pretty good pressure coming out of your hose, it's good. Just lather it up real good with that sponge, because when you're wiping, that's pretty much eating it and taking it off, because it's eating all that dirt off, and then it does really good, just as long as you've got a good pressure from your water hose. I don't recommend a pressure washer, because that can get in there with your bearings or the electrical. Yeah, yeah, no. What? Right.
What about it getting on the exhaust?
What's that? The pig or the? It gets on there. It's a lot of times that heat is so much there. I've noticed that I'm trying to figure out something else that I could find that'll really eat that off, but it's hard. It just gets in there and that mud just cakes and starts staining that like that. It's very different. You probably could try that to get in there to get it off a little bit more. I would think so. But this don't hurt to get on there. Just like I was telling them, just make sure everything's cooled off before you start to wash everything very good.
So is that what makes it cloud sometimes, it being hot?
Yeah, makes it have that look like Sean's there. Is that what you're saying? Like,
Well, I've seen some products leave like a cloudy effect on
it can if it's not rinsed off very well. Yes. Yes. It's a great product, but I have to tell people, make sure you thoroughly rinse that off, because I have had customers come back and go, what's this? And I've had to explain to them that's what's happened, and we've got it off, but it's thoroughly got to be rinsed.
How long would you say it takes you to go from this to that?
At least, I would say, from the time I get started, 2 hours at least.
I don't know if they mentioned, but these bikes were both on the course together. This is what Sean's bike looked like when it came in yesterday before she cleaned it up. So, I mean, to go from that to that's pretty impressive.
Okay, so now your bike's clean, right? Everything's clean, you're able to walk around it, inspect everything, and now we get started on the maintenance, the aftercare of your motorcycle. So, I'll flip it over to Ryan and take it from here.
Hello, everybody. If you haven't met me before, I'm Ryan. So if you've been to any of our seminars or watched them at all, we've done pre-ride on the trail, and this will be post-ride. Basically, inspecting your bike after you've been romping on it. You can see this bike has been ridden in the dirt, off-road, etc. I mean, we got mud and stuff. It's clearly been down. So what I like to do is I start with just a full 360, you know, checking stuff, make sure nothing's gonna fall off, nothing obvious sticking out, no oil leaks and things like that. I just run around with my flashlight. I have it up so that both of the wheels will spin, so I can, you know, check the wheels, make sure they're spinning nice. I'll get a wrench or something and tap spokes, make sure all the spokes are good and tight. If the bike is still warmed up at this point, it will be a good spot to check the oil, or just start it, run it for a little bit, check your oil, make sure that's good. As you can probably tell from just looking at it, this chain is well out of the service spec, so this would be something we would adjust. I'm going to circle back to this. The next thing that we do is there's a lot of dirt on the outside of this bike. It's only safe to assume the air cleaner probably looks about like the exterior of this bike. So we're going to pull this off and take a look at the air cleaner. In the essence of time, I've already pulled all the fasteners and unhooked everything, so it doesn't quite go this quickly when we have it back here in the shop.
That was quick and easy. We saw the fight that I went through last time. Yeah, right? About 20, 25 minutes realistically. Taking my time, pulling the fairing off, all of that. Last time was reality. Yeah, reality set in when I tapped in the tech.
It's actually a pretty simple system. You know, the more you do it, the better you get at it. But there's some tight spots and some connectors that once they start getting dirt and grime on them, they don't like to cooperate. So yeah, it can be frustrating for sure.
The last video we have posted up was me doing it. You've got two, one on each side, 10 millimeter, one right here, and then you've got your fuel line and all that. We broke all that down in the last video if you want to jump on there and check it out.
Alright. So anyone that has a traditional, I'll call it, Harley would assume that this looks pretty clean. However, the air comes through this way, so we're going to pull this off and look inside of it because that's where all the dirt collects to prevent it from going into your intake.
So we're not looking at the outside, we're going to be looking at the inside.
And you can see there's some dust on here too, but more importantly, I mean, there's a leaf in there, you know, I've got dirt already coming out of it. So obviously we would want to clean that. This is a cleanable filter element. Sean has a larger KN style one on his bike. Probably flows a little better. It's a little nicer in my opinion, but you can clean this a few times before it needs to be replaced. That one you could probably clean 10 to 20 times before it needs to be replaced. But we'll clean this just with a degreaser spray. KN degreaser spray works fine, or Simple Green, something like that. Spray it really, really heavily in here, spray it here, set it down, wait 5 to 10 minutes to kind of let it soak into all these fibers, and then with warm water, just rinse it out. I would rinse it from the outside this way to push all the dirt and stuff out, and then either let it air dry or hang it on a fan, a small fan, nice. To let it dry pretty much completely before you put it back together. You know, during this point, you could move around like I'm gonna do and mess with the chain.
So like I was showing you guys last time, I was using my toolkit that I actually carry just to show you that I had everything in there that I needed. He's actually going to do what we do in the shop here.
Yeah, it's quite a bit easier to break this loose with a nice breaker bar. I've already broken this loose. This is just kind of on there snug to give it the effect. You don't have to take it all the way off, just loose enough that you have play. And then we're going to just turn these two screws in even increments until we get our chain to spec. I like to set it at 2 inches. That's about right in the middle of the spec. I forgot my tape measure over there. But what I do is I have a tape measure that holds itself up. I just set it in the middle of the chain behind and just push up as I go.
So he's counting 10 spins on each side, making sure it's equal.
There's not really. What you can do is get a small steel rule and you can measure it, or you can get one of those coat hanger looking wheel alignment tools. You can make one out of a wire coat hanger. There's probably videos, and you just find a center point here and at your pivot shaft to get it even on both sides. You want it roughly within 1/8 of an inch or less if possible. But yeah, you'll just adjust these tighter and tighter until you get to 2 inches. That's still probably a little bit loose. Again, if I was doing this on my lift over there, I have all my measuring tools and so forth. That's pretty close. That's roughly about what it should look like. And then verify your wheel is aligned, and then just retorque the axle back down to 100 foot-pounds. I would advise getting a decent torque wrench for doing this if you're going to do it at home. Over torquing it can obviously cause premature wear to your bearings, which is not good. Keeping it loose allows for slop and play, which can also damage your bearings or your sprockets, etc. So torquing it properly is pretty critical. And then also always make sure there's this little safety clip on here. This one's getting a little loose. I'll probably end up replacing that. But in the event that this does not get tight, this prevents that from coming off and you lose the axle and bad things happen from there. So just keep an eye on that too. Again, while I'm back here, I would be spinning this, you know, checking spokes. You can check your brake pads at that point. Make sure there's not any lip growing on the brake rotor. When you get in the higher mileage and the brake rotor starts to wear out, they'll end up becoming a lip that you can feel on the end. It's kind of an indicator that your brake rotor's wearing out.
Can you show them how to check the spokes, Ryan?
Yeah,
If you don't mind.
not a problem.
That's a common thing that I see people asking the question.
I can probably just, I mean, any solid metal object. There is a torque spec and a proper procedure for checking torque, but kind of the on the side of the road way to do it is to just tap them. And you hear how they have that high pitch bing when you hit it. If you find one that's loose, you'll hit it and it'll go duh, and it won't have that ringing sound. You would just want to snug that up till it sings a little bit. But you can torque these. You can get to a handful of them without taking the wheel off, but these wheels come off really easy. Just pull it off and you can torque them if you want to get crazy at home. They make a small torque wrench to get in there. It's about 30 inch-pounds on these little nuts here. And there's little flats right here where these spokes get thicker that you can hold with a wrench to torque it all. If you are going to need to torque several spokes, at that point I would advise putting a dial indicator on this and checking for lateral and radial runout. There's a spec for that as well. If your wheel has got all kinds of lateral runout, it's going to inhibit your riding, which you don't want. We can do that here as well, so no sweat on that. But yes, we will basically be cleaning your chain too, getting all the dirt. So these are O-ring chains. In between these links are rubber O-rings that are intended to seal out dirt and grit. But if you leave this dirt on here, eventually the grit from the dirt is going to tear up those O-rings, and then your chain will start sticking in weird positions and stuff like that. You end up having to get a new chain. So chain maintenance is something a lot of Harley customers are not used to doing, just because everything pretty much has a belt drive nowadays. So, you know, getting back to chain maintenance is something that we need to be aware of.
With chain maintenance, Ryan, that would come with pulley maintenance as well too.
Yes. So sprockets wear out quite a bit quicker than belt pulleys. You can look and see, you know, a little bit on this back one right here as you're spinning your wheel around. These teeth are nice and straight. They got a lot of meat on them. As the miles get higher, what typically ends up happening if you take care of your chain really well is you'll end up with what they call hooking, which is where the part of the sprocket that engages with the tooth when it's driven will start to get this little hook shape to it from the metal wearing out. When it starts to do that, you're going to want to consider getting new sprockets. People are starting to introduce different gear ratio sprockets into the market now. I think you're getting a rear one, right? So he's going to be testing out a different gear ratio rear sprocket, and we'll have some feedback on that. But
Going up 3 on the rear. Yeah. More torque.
We like to use this Maxima. There's all kind of chain cleaning products. This is just what we use here. Actually, this is the one. The cleaner, you just clean first. Just spray it extremely heavily on the chain all the way around, basically focusing it in where these O-rings are on the inside here. Then you let it sit for 10 minutes or so. Take your plastic chain brush and scrub it all off. Then you clean it off with water to get all this off of there. Once the chain is dry and clean, then you just coat it with chain wax. Again, focusing mostly on the inside here, but definitely get it on everything. And that seals up those O-rings I was talking about to keep the dirt and stuff from getting in there and cutting them up and so forth. I have no experience with that,
it's like
so I don't know that I
yellow.
can necessarily speak
It's
on
like
that. There's probably arguments to be made for it. I'm just really not familiar with that method.
What's the What's the question?
Using kerosene.
Oh. It's gonna eat that O-ring. I would bet. Yeah. I know these don't. Revzilla put out a really nice video on chains and sprockets. And it's really interesting to watch the wear on the tooth, on which way it wears. One way is going to be accel and one's going to be decel. And you want it to wear evenly. Chain maintenance plays a lot of tune in that. A lot of guys forget about taking care of the chain, or gals, and goes unnoticed, and then they start having, now they got to replace the chain and both sprockets. And it's not crazy expensive, but still it's an expense. It's a maintenance item. You know, you're not making your bike go faster or look prettier. You know, it's maintenance. So, yeah, so it all wears together, right? I've been reading a lot about that.
Because a worn sprocket will wear out a new chain quicker than anything.
Really. So it's like putting a set of brake pads on a set of old rotors. You know.
Always replace everything.
Yep. Start fresh.
So is there a recommended mileage replacement no matter what chain?
I think it's 30 on these bikes.
I think it is 30,
think
or
it's 30.
based on wear.
But you could be out heavy decel all day long decel, and it's just going to put more wear on that rear sprocket. So I mean, when people say like wear life on brakes, it's like you can't really put a number on that. What the book says is this, and I'm pretty sure the book on this says 30,000 is what's recommended. You also have a cush drive in that rear wheel. It's a rubber cush drive that wears out over time as well too. And what that's doing is acting as a protectant, which I've just been learning on. Protecting all your nuts and bolts and everything back there from extreme pressure going to the rear wheel. So it's absorbing some of that as well. All of our touring line, all of our bikes have the cush drive in them. So it's interesting to see that these bikes did as well too.
Yep.
This is new to us. I mean, you've done it before. Charlie's been doing it for years, so I had a lot to learn from him too. For me, it's really my first chain drive driven bike, so I had a lot to learn.
Your sprocket should be a perfect U. If it starts leaning,
For your tooth? Yeah.
if it starts leaning, that's the time to replace it.
Yeah, they made it pretty painless on this to replace the chain and sprockets too. You don't have to pull the whole swing arm off. Obviously, there's no primary you got to take off like with a big twin. So it can come off without really having to take too much of the bike apart. And as I said earlier, the wheels come off extremely easily for maintenance, tires, etc. So that's something that Harley did right with this. Definitely is the ease of removing the wheels.
I mean, they've had years of knowledge learning from the other big guys, you know, and I think they put it all into this bike to where it can be maintained and worked on the road, on the trail, wherever it needs to be.
Yes, could you break that nut loose with your foot if you had to out on trail?
On the rear, I have had to.
What's the pounds on it, do you know?
It's 100 foot-pounds.
It's on there.
Yeah, you ought to be able to.
It's on there. I mean, it's you know,
Yeah, but still, you ought to be able to break
it's doable. Yeah, I've done it at the house too, with the tool set that I have, just to make sure I can do it if I needed to.
Any other questions about post-ride maintenance?
These are all things just to help you guys keep your bikes running longer. Obviously, all of the things that we do here at the dealership as well too. Whether you want to take this on at the house or not. The tank he obviously made super easy for us, but because we have already gone through that process with me last time, we felt we didn't need to do that again. We wanted to show you guys what it looked.
So there's this is your air temp sensor. There's a fuel pump sensor,
pump.
or a fuel pump power plug rather.
Is there something right up here?
There is your fuel level sender plug is right up here. That stays partially connected to the tank. The other receiving side is right here.
And that's the one that gave me the trouble last time, because I didn't take the time to take my fairing off the front. It's much easier to reach that way. I learned after our recording.
I think I've read that this connector here is kind of hard to get off.
It can be. So it has a lock and then a little button. So you have to unlatch the lock by pushing this gray thing backwards, and then it's got a pinch connector. So it's double locked on there. That way it can't pop off while you're riding. But like I was, yeah. Like I was saying earlier, they do get, you know, grit and dust and stuff in there, which doesn't make these plastic things slide very nicely at times.
Do you need to spray any type of lubricant or contact cleaner on these every time you?
I mean, it's kind of case by case, not necessarily, but I like to put dielectric grease in here because it helps seal the connector pins from getting dirt and water and things of that nature in there, which just prolongs their life. It also helps them to slide apart easier so that they don't break down so quickly from coming on and off. So I do like to put dielectric grease on connectors where possible, just for ease of removal and reassembly and to protect them for longevity. But contact cleaner is not a bad idea. If it's got a bunch of dust and stuff in here, you know, you could spray keyboard cleaner or whatever in there to get it out. They make circuit board cleaner and stuff
Basically,
too.
it's the 1, 2, 3 and the fuel line, right? And then you're,
Correct.
you're good.
Yep. And then there's these two fasteners on either side, and this one right back
And your
here.
fuel pump or your fuel
And
hookup,
then the fuel, the check valve is down there.
which the check valve just pinches.
These are pretty easy. They're just held on by a little rubber grommets. So this one has a the windshield guard on here that pops off with these little rubber grommets. And then if you just grab it, I usually start at the bottom and work it out.
So it's not even bolted on, it's just
No, it's like a bagger side cover basically. Yep, they just pop into there. But like Sean was saying, it does make, with the tank as on, it does give you quite a bit more access to get in here. Yeah, you can see the dirt gets everywhere.
You'd be right.
Yeah, true.
Which we do.
Dirt crew 422.
Obviously, tire pressure, something we want to check. We all have the TPMS, tire pressure monitoring systems on our bikes. I still do a manual check on mine before I go on a ride. There's the debate too that you can research for hours and days on. Do I air up? Do I air down? You know, and I'm not going to guide you on that just because everyone has their own take on it. I personally do not. I've been in situations where I needed to air down because I was stuck on a hill climb that was gonna be a battle if I didn't. And it gave me some more traction on the rear, but then I always made sure I put the air pressure back where it needed to be, so I wasn't going to wear my tire down when I jumped back on a surface.
Noticed on hot days that you know, for example, if I start out with 37 front, 40 on the rear, riding, it very quickly becomes 41 in the front, 45 or 46 in the rear. Don't have to worry about that.
It's a little high, in my opinion. I mean, what's
Well,
pressure?
So they give you the-
I'll be up on the dragon and I'll get on the bike in the morning and it'd be like 39, and then by the end of the day it's up to 50 almost.
Yeah.
I mean, altitude and heat and everything deals, messes with the tires.
I think Carly's spec on it's what, 35 or 37?
Yeah, I think it's 30, 36.
That's cold,
and
cold
40, yeah.
pressure.
So they give you the cold spec, assuming you're going to fill it cold so that it has room for expansion with heat. I mean, yeah, the tires warm up even on cold days just from the friction of rotation. So yeah, it's going to increase whether it's cold out, hot out. Obviously, if it's hot out, it's going to increase more. But they have obviously tested that many a times to get to that spec. So I wouldn't be too concerned about it. There's also a mild correlation spec between what this is reading actually and what it's showing here. If you put a really good gauge on, you can probably get a variance of 1 to 2 psi even. So.
All right. Let me give Teresa your mic. She's going to go over our last thing. Like I said, we've kind of got we've been racking our brains on how we can put together a package, what we're going to name it, and all that for when you do come back and you don't want to mess with it. You just want it done right. You want to come pick it back up 2 or 3 days later And we don't want it to be the full detail package. It's $150, and then we got 2 hours of labor and X, Y, and Z. So we're trying to cut all that back. So if you go on any of the Dirt Days rides with us that we lead, like the one that we're going to be leading on tomorrow, you have the opportunity for this package here. So Teresa, if you want to kind of break that down for us.
Yeah, so all of the stuff that we showed you today, you're fully capable of doing this yourself, and that's why we're showing you how to do it. If you're looking at this and you're going, you know what, my time's worth more than that, we can take care of it for you. So for $75, you're going to get the Dirty 3. So we're going to bring the bike in, we're going to do a chain service and adjustment, which includes a clean and a wax and adjustment. We're going to do a simple wash, a quick wash on the bike to get it clean, not a full on.
This isn't a simple wash that's on mine. This is her doing the sprays and everything else. That's the next level, but we're gonna do a simple wash on the whole bike, get all the dirt off.
And then we will check your air filter. So we can check your air filter with a bore scope. We don't have to take the whole tank off. We'll just slide it up in there, look at it with a camera. If it does need to be cleaned for half an hour, we can take your tank off and get it clean for you.
And at that point, we're gonna call you and say, hey, your filter's filthy. We need to go in there, it's another half hour.
Yeah, we'll probably get pre-approval. Hey, if your filter's dirty, do you want me to clean it? It's gonna cost a half an hour. So for $75, we'll touch all of those things for you. You get a bike that has a chain that's lubed and adjusted correctly. You'll know that your air cleaner is clean or not, and you'll have a clean bike, and you can move on. So
you just let me know on the ride, hey, I want the Dirty 3. I'll drop it off Monday. I'll let T know, or Cole, Teresa.
We might have to change the name of that. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, we might change the name, but it's going to be something like that. A question that Mark had when, let's say, we're just doing a tire, we're just installing a tire. It's not a 1K, it's not a 5K, we're installing a tire. Are we checking the spokes? If it's spoked wheels, are we going to check them at that time?
I do. Any spoked wheel, I always check it when it's off the bike because it's a great opportunity to check it. It's the easiest time to check it and make corrections where necessary, especially digressing a little with something that does not have exterior spokes like the Pan America does because the tire's already off. It does make it easier with the tire off on this, but it's not necessary. So yeah, I always check them when the wheel is off just because it's already there. It's right in front of you. It's easy to do, and it's a safety maintenance thing. You know, it's if I put a tire on it, send you out, and your wheel's going like that, you're gonna go, "What the heck, man? I just paid you to put a tire on. You didn't even notice all these spokes are loose." So I think that's kind of a no-brainer.
I thought so too. I just wanted to make sure we answered it from you.
Same thing with the chain. If it's a rear tire, I always correct the chain deflection. If I'm taking it off and putting it back on, I touched it last. I take pride in my work. You know, I'm not going to give it back to you with a chain that's slapping the swing arm. Like, well, you just paid me for a tire.
Has anybody read in the manual how often you need to be adjusting your chain? Every 600 miles, they say in the manual. I do personally, just about after every ride. Mine right now needs adjustment before we go out tomorrow. Huh?
Kind of go by side
If it looks.
Especially on a new chain, it'll stretch first initially
Okay.
more. So first service, you really want to check your chain after the first ride.
A lot of new for all of us. So again, I'll end this with there's going to be questions that'll continue, and that's what we're here for. Some of us will never hit the dirt or very rarely hit the dirt. Some of us are going to go out tomorrow and hit the dirt. So this bike can do both. That's the great thing about it. It's amazing in the curves. It's amazing jumping off the side of a mountain, adventuring. So whatever your adventure is, we're here to keep you running. Cool. Yeah, I don't know how y'all do it. Y'all do it, and then he's where's he at? He's got the dog on the back. I'm good with just me on the bike. That's a talent for sure. So I appreciate all y'all coming up, and this is the final of the 3 for this season. We'll probably have some stuff. Me and Ryan are getting some ideas together. We're going to go out and film some stuff actually on the trail. There's a few things that I want to conquer for myself, having him to be able to tap in if I need him to. So we'll be kind of dropping those 2 out, on the Facebook and Instagram and all that as well too. So the rides won't stop. We got a season planned for next year that's amazing. Same thing, if you're wanting to ride in the dirt, we're hitting it the 3rd Sunday of every month. We've got the training that's just picking up momentum crazy. The last class was packed at 13 students. We've opened that up on how many we can accept for reasons of bringing in another trainer once we hit a certain number. The thing with that is when you start looking at that as getting really the toughest spot's not getting with us getting in the class, it's finding a place to stay up in Tellico unless you're going to be camping at Mickey's spot. So a lot of big events coming up next year. Okay, you got March Moto Madness, whether you're hitting the dirt or not. We got guys and gals that ride up on their touring bikes that come on Saturday just to watch the games because they're so fun to watch. I can tell you that for me was the most fun in this segment with the ADV world. It really was just like a hook, line, and sinker for me where I fell in love with it. So if I can offer that up to you guys, they have limited amount of spots this year, which they haven't done before. It's 800, it's a big number, but still they've exceeded 800 several years. So if that's something you're interested in, jump on their website. You'll see a lot of pictures of Matt Kelly, a very well rider, wearing one of our jerseys going up the hill climb, which is an honor. But we do a lot in that. And then you got TMMR coming up out at Loretta Lynn's and a bunch of things, all of which is on our calendar on our website. Facebook's a great place to find it. Finding me on Facebook, I'm open to help anybody whenever I can, all over the forums online. Don't get stuck in the forums, y'all. The forums are just like a rabbit hole of, not garbage, but it's just like, come on, man. Like, there's just things. Bring it into us. Ask us. Reach out to me. Reach out to T. Reach out to someone here at the dealership. We want to make sure you get the right answers and we get your stuff hooked up right and you back out on the road. That's what we're here for. So if we don't have any questions, we'll kind of wrap it up there. We're here. We're not going anywhere. We'll stop recording at that point.
Thank you, guys.
Yep. Thank y'all. All right. What you just got finished watching was our part 3 of our 3-part series. Before the ride, during the ride, and after the ride. We tried to break down everything and things that we've been through to try to help better the community and Pan America as a whole. At White Lightning Harley-Davidson, we have a lot to offer for Pan America, and that's just to keep our riders riding. We try to give you opportunities for rides every month. The seminars that we do, like you just finished watching, and the training, adventure training that we do as well. If there's input, questions, we're always here for you, whether you're riding on dirt, you're riding pavement, you see one all the time or the other or both. Okay, the bikes are designed to be able to go wherever you want to go, and we're here for you to keep you riding. Thanks for watching. GoPros are recording right now too. Wiped it. Why are you always giving the finger?
I didn't give the finger.
You
I
read
did
every
this.
video I try and
I did
make,
that.
'cause you
I
always
did
give the
this,
finger.
and I did that. That's not the finger.
I'm going to clip
That's the
that
finger.
because it's been recorded on your mic. So I'm going to clip just that. You go, I did this, and I did that.
I did this.
And I did that.
You could get with this, or you could get with that. No, you're recording dancing? No.